coming to you post-game edition of Straight Off the Pipe. Joining me tonight is Ty Jones. You can find him on Twitter at Ty Jones 01. Good evening, Ty. Thanks for coming on board. I wish your shit was under better circumstances, but tonight we laid an egg.
Yeah, again.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you, man?
I'm not bad. So, first time on our show, you did a pod with Eric Friesen there. So, everybody that comes on here has to answer my little questions, I guess. When did you become an Oilers fan, and what did it for you, and all of that fun stuff?
Well, when I was a kid, I wasn't really much of a hockey fan. But obviously that was the dynasty years and the Battle of Alberta years, right? But honestly, I think for me, my favorite was that '06 run was really what really made me like a diehard Oilers fan. I was a fan of both teams. I was pretty impartial. I liked hockey, but not really a fan of anything. And then, yeah, that '06 run was something special for me. So I was working up in Edson at the time, and so Edmonton was as close as anything can be in Edson. So, yeah.
Favorite player on that run?
Oh, man, I've always been a huge fan of Smitty, but I loved what Pronger could do. He was a game changer. He just ran the whole game. It was awesome.
Yeah, controlled things for sure. And, not only vision and passing ability, but, could clear the front of the net maybe as good as anybody in NHL history. So
yeah, that's something this current team's missing is that mean streak, right?
Yeah. I mean, you want Nurse to have that, but I think on many a night Darnell plays too careful. He doesn't let the mean and nasty really come out as much as I would like even. Maybe not even at Pronger levels, but Jason Smith, Gator back in the day, that kind of mean streak too would help. And really, that's the kind of defenseman we're missing is a kind of a Jason Smith sort of prototype.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think Nurse does that though because there's nobody else, so he's kind of been told he can't be spending his time in the box?
Yeah, no, I think he's plays a pretty disciplined game because there's recognition of how much they need him. If you've got him, he doesn't take a lot of fighting majors. You can't afford him being in the box for 5 minutes or you're in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Because I think he's got it in him, right?
For sure. Yeah. No, he can be nasty if he wants to be, but
he's a big tough guy. Yeah.
He contains that a lot. What did you see out there tonight? What do you think?
I think if they play every period like the second period, they'll win a lot of games. They were sleepy to start and then just kind of gave up at the end, it seemed like to me.
Yeah, I mean, Smith didn't look very healthy to me at the start of that game. I think he did get kind of better as it kind of went on, but at the first 5 minutes of that hockey game, I thought you were going to be carting him off the ice like that. He was just looking awkward, and every his legs didn't seem to be working.
He seems slow for sure. Yeah.
Like the first goal, I mean, it looked like he almost like ripped his groin in half just trying to get down, and I don't know if he is 100% or if it's just time off and kind of forget how to move around in the net, but he definitely looked awkward to me, and a game I wouldn't put on him, but the guy at the other end of the ice was the better of the two, and that's happened way too many times this season. I don't understand honestly why Tippett chose to run him again. I mean, you just get him back. He looked a little bit out of it, last night, and then to run right back to him. I know you want to get him up to speed and kind of take that F-14 off the aircraft carrier and get running here, but you're going to drive them right back into an injury if you overplay them right off the hop trying to do that. So to me, I mean, you got a game again on Friday. Why didn't you go tonight to Skinner and then go back to Smith on Friday? And so so what? You're going to run Smith again on Friday? Like, I don't know.
Doesn't make sense.
No.
If you're like if you're talking about he's been out for a couple of weeks, maybe it makes sense, right? But I mean, the guy's played 6 games all year, something like that. So yeah, going back to back games just made zero sense to me.
Yeah, I just I understand wanting to light the match right away, but I don't know. Tonight, if Skinner plays, do they win? Well, we'll never know, I guess now. But I think Stuart Skinner survives 5 minutes of hockey, not being down 2-0 for sure.
Yeah, he makes one of those saves at least, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's capable. He's a good goalie, and I mean, you got Mikko in kind of COVID protocol, so you're not going to have Skinner up here very long, really. So why not get him in? Get him in to go back to Smith and then go from there. But that didn't happen. They didn't get it done, and the stretches of that game, they took it over and they didn't allow much, but it seems like this team is victimized by its inability to learn. Like there's some plays in the defensive zone where the coverage just I don't know, it's just shaky and yeah, it's hard to watch. Yeah,
it is. It's the effort. I can handle a lot of stuff if you're trying hard. Like the effort isn't there all the time.
Yeah. I mean, Tyler Yaremchuk brought it up and posted on Twitter there that this team is not hard to play against at all, and kind of I said Evander Kane hasn't learned yet to go quietly into the night because he kind of got into it a little bit at the end of the game. It was actually nice to see, like like I don't know. I'm old school. If you're not winning the last 5 minutes, you need to make it hell on the other team.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes them think a little, right?
Yeah, I mean,
there's no second guessing themselves on the other side of the ice, right? The Oilers just don't scare anybody that way.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I've said this before. I'll say it again. It's kind of like the Murray Chadwick quote from Youngblood. You guys could skate around with a carton of eggs and not break any. If it's not going well, even if it is going well, like play a physical brand of hockey, like, and they, for the most part, don't. Like, Nurse and Doc kind of got into it a little bit here and there, but I didn't see much from our forwards, on their D, like, until the end, until Kane kind of got in Evander Kane's grill and they were trading sweet and sticks a little bit, and Fleury came out to the rescue.
I like that about Fleury. He's got a lot of passion, right?
Yeah. I mean,
so is Smith.
Sticking up for his teammate.
Yeah.
Yeah. You wonder if that kind of got a little bit serious if Smith would have been waiting at center ice again, but
yeah, Fleury wouldn't take that.
Yeah.
He's a pretty little guy.
Good on Cam Talbot for taking that fight.
Oh, that was awesome.
You had to know that you were going to get a little bit of a beating because Smith is a bit of an animal when it comes to that.
Yeah.
It's like kind of like taking on Ray Emery back in the day.
Oh, man. Yeah, that guy was crazy too.
I might have... Oh, okay. Yeah, my game notes where it does not look like Mike Smith's groin is functional.
Yeah.
And... I put down D-zone coverage is still a major issue with this team, and then Duncan Keith getting injured there. Didn't like to see that, but
that was pretty scary. He looked out cold, hey? He wasn't. His eyes were shut. He was sleeping. That was not good.
Yeah, so hopefully he's not out too long because this team really can't survive too long without another key member out of the lineup for very long. I think they did well after he.
Yeah,
I think they did well after he left tonight, but
yeah.
he's become, the last few games he's really. I think he's really stepped up his game, and him and Cece have kind of looked like the best pairing that we have for a while, which is kind of unusual and not what I was expecting. But
no, it shows the problem there, though, right?
Yeah, there's it's coverage issues, like really, like it, and it's like we didn't learn much from the night before. Barry played a better game tonight, I thought, but man, did he struggle last night. Bouchard struggled last night. Lagesson struggled last night, and Nurse was kind of ho hum, and so you're down to Keith and Cece who played well, I thought, and then tonight it was kind of similar stuff. Cece had a good game again, and then I thought Lagesson was better, but then there was other coverage issues again, and people failing to like the recognition to pick up a loose man and stuff like that and tie up a stick, and just same old. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like once they duck in behind the D, they just give up. Like nobody takes them, right?
Yeah.
As soon as they get in behind them, it's you're wide open. You got all day.
Yeah. And we put up a lot of shots, but not a lot of dangerous stuff. Like, a lot of it was
definitely.
A lot of it was from the sides, and not much like from the slot. They gotta figure out a way to put up some offensive punch. Like one goal against Chicago. I mean, Fleury did play well and made some saves, but even on the power play,
I think there was 3 posts too.
Yeah, even on the power play, it wasn't super dangerous again. Like, I don't know. Teams seem to have figured out a little bit of the wrinkles that they like to keep going to. McDavid looked to want to attack a little bit more and shoot kind of. It was good to see Leon start to let that one-timer go again, from his usual spot for a couple of games there. It wasn't happening at all. And I know Michael, like Oilers Live, Hebert there was thinking like he had an injury or something because he wasn't shooting the puck.
Yeah, he really wasn't. He's got a good point. I didn't think about it until he said that. But
yeah, that's what Michael was keying in on. But I didn't know what to make of it. I just knew that it wasn't happening. So I see, like, Bouchard kind of got back out there again with that unit again too, and Barry was kind of in timeout. They put him out with the second unit a little bit, and Nurse got a little bit of second unit time.
Yeah, I like seeing Bouch on there. I know he's a young guy, right? He's got stuff to learn still, but I have a lot of time for young guys making mistakes. It drives me nuts when seasoned vets like Barry and Nurse and Keith, they make bonehead plays, right? And you're just
the part about Barry the other night that was the most aggravating is, okay, fine, you pounded into the guy's shin pads. Can understand that guy beating you down the ice, but William Karlsson, the guy behind you, he's a trailer, and you let it become a 2-on-0 instead of just a 1-on-0. I mean, that just can't happen. I mean, it's bad enough you're pounding it into the shin pads and they're off to the races, but letting two guys beat you down the ice, that you can't have that.
No. Yeah, and he does that a lot, right? Where I think everybody knows Bouchard is very good at getting it past that first guy.
Yeah, I mean, with Bouch, it doesn't always have to be a slap shot to be effective either, right? So he's got that, snapshot off of 1 foot where, you're just trying to get it around the guy and fire it on net and have a deflection or a screen and it goes in. Like, the two goals that he scored on the power play when Barry was out. One of them was a bomb, no doubt, but the other one was just kind of a seeing eye shot that you sifted through the maze and ends up, top corner, and it turned the tide of the hockey game.
Mm-hmm.
Those can be huge. I mean, Barry comes back from his timeout and gets top line right off the bat, and McDavid scores on a kind of a bank shot off the goalie, but Barry did, he was effective because he was passing the puck, and the puck was moving around a little bit, getting the defense moving. That was good. But then, last night we pound a bomb into the guy's shin pads, and I was thinking, like, Tippett being Tippett wasn't gonna react to that and just let him keep having the shine and the time out there. But I was happy to see that Bouchard was getting that first power play time again.
Yeah, I mean, it seems clear to us fans, right, that Bouch is the man for the power play. But
yeah, I mean, I think we're back in the spot now too. Like, before the All-Star break here, they went on a little run and they kind of turned the heat down from where they were. So they, it turned the temperature down on the fire Tippett, get rid of Holland, Nicholson, they all got to go. That kind of got turned down, but now, you're right back there again. I mean, I wasn't expecting us to come out of the All-Star break and beat Vegas. It would have been nice, but we got smoked. I mean, 4-0 was flattering for the Oilers last night. It was really like a 10-0 game. They didn't get a lot done last night at all. And then tonight is a game that you kind of have to right the ship and get going in the right direction again. And you get behind the 8 ball early, you claw back to kind of make it respectable. It's 2-1, and then it's 3-1, and then 4-1. It just depressing game kind of to watch as a fan, and now you're back right on the heels of Tippett and Holland and all those guys. I mean, I think it's becoming crystal clear, and probably has been for a while, that there is a glaring need for this team, and it wasn't answered. Last night when Mike Smith came back, he might make it through the season unscathed, but I don't think he's taken us to the promised land. And I can guarantee you, if they do make the playoffs, that's all they're going to do. They're not going to win a round because the goaltending just isn't good enough.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know people say a lot that the goalies can't score goals, right? But you spot a team like Vegas, 2 goals, good luck scoring on them, man. The other team can shut you down really fast, right? Same thing again tonight. Chicago's not the greatest team, but these are the best players in the world, man. You give them a 2-run head start right off the bat.
Yeah.
Makes it tough.
No, you're not even 3 minutes in, and you're chasing it hard.
Yeah.
And that's a tough way to play.
Yeah, I made a joke that Smith was on to something because he didn't even touch the puck until it was 2-0. Forget about it. It's inevitable anyways.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, how many nights has it been that, our goaltender at our end of the ice has been better than the guy at the other end? Not many.
Yeah. No.
Not many. I mean, the games that we win, it's because we score more than the other team. It's not because we defended better or our goalie was better. I don't know, maybe 2 games all like, what are we, 43 or 44 games in now? I would say 2 games all season where our guy kind of, outshone the guy at the other end of the ice. Everybody early was pointing to Koskinen's, his record, and they're not using that anymore. I think, we were winning games with a torrid power play and McDavid and Draisaitl on, insane kind of pace, and that's kind of cooled. And now the special teams aren't quite that special anymore, and everything's kind of come back down to earth. And it's only going to get harder. It's not going to get easier. So the little mistakes that you make, in between the pipes or with your defensive coverage are going to be magnified. You can't get away with too much.
No. Yeah, and that's the hard part, right? Like this, I can't think of very many games. I think, like you said, maybe the 2 games they outplayed the other goalie, but it seems like they let in at least one really bad goal every game, right?
Yeah, and now they've got Friday night is the Islanders. Islanders, aren't having a great season, but we didn't fare so well the last time we played them in Long Island. So, and then it gets crucial. I mean, if you win that game against the Islanders, that's a bonus because you're playing an Eastern team, so at least if you lose that, you're not digging your trench quite so deep. But then Monday and Tuesday next week is San Jose and LA, and then next Thursday is the Ducks, and then the Jets, and then the Wild, and then the brutal East Coast swing with the Lightning, Panthers, Hurricanes, and Flyers, and then they meet the Blackhawks again to start March off. So it's a tough stretch, and they need to start digging out of this, or they're going to be buried alive, and their playoff dreams and hopes are going to be squashed, before the Easter Bunny comes.
Mm-hmm. That's terrible. That's like decade of darkness kind of talk, right?
Well, yeah, no, you kind of get into murderer's row pretty soon here. So while you've got these next 4 games that I think are crucial for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those California teams aren't as easy as we all thought they'd be either, right?
No, they aren't, and especially Anaheim. Anaheim's a pretty decent club. And when Gibson's on his game, that's tough. And same with LA. I mean, LA with Quick when he's on is a hard game to win. Probably the easiest of the 3 is San Jose, but if you underestimate them, you'll do what you did tonight. You'll lose a game to a team you probably should beat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's time's running out quick.
Yeah. Yeah, and definitely, not at a spot where I thought we'd be. I think earlier in the season I thought we'd be up there with Vegas, scrapping it out for the top of the division, and really right up close to the top of the Western Conference, and in a good spot and home ice for first round and all that fun stuff. And I mean, all of that's still possible, but you got to get going like now.
Mm-hmm.
It's you can't afford like a shitty end to February and to be sitting 10 points outside of the playoffs come March.
That's getting pretty tough then. Right?
Good luck climbing your way out of that. Yeah. This team doesn't like the 90s Oilers. That was kind of a trademark of theirs. They'd be on the outside looking in and make this grand charge late, and then go into the playoffs and usually meet Dallas in the first round. And since they were used to scrapping the whole stretch drive of the season, they scrapped with Dallas, and every once in a while they get by them, and then it'd be Colorado Avalanche. And but this team isn't the same. It's not the same dynamic at all. They don't have that spirited kind of gritty battle game to them. I Dash has kind of brought it up, and I've you think about it too, where you could have 2 really skilled lines, and probably now even 3, but a third and a fourth line structured to play a different style. I don't think you want Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl chipping pucks in the corner and going and smashing defensemen to go and retrieve it and try to get a chance that way. But further deeper down your lineup, I think that's something that should be implemented, and have some lines that are out there to soften kind of up the other D, and um, make it harder on them. Um, but that doesn't seem to be something that's taught here. It's everybody play the same way, even if your skill set doesn't support that.
And well, yeah, that's exactly it, right? Like every bottom six guy that comes here tries to play Connor McDavid hockey, and you can't.
Yeah.
And it's got to be a coaching thing. Like they should be those guys. That's all they do. That's what they've done for a living is bang bodies and pucks and ground and pound stuff. But they come here and they try to be the high flying Connor McDavid, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, I think we're five games tonight into the Vander Kane era, and he's already seeing different line mates again. So hard to build chemistry when the deck just keeps getting shuffled and shuffled and shuffled. Like I don't know, and it's kind of curious some of the decisions. Like Nuge is used to playing with Connor, but it's just shuffle the deck and whatever comes out, that's who you're playing with. Like there's not a lot of rhyme and reason to some of the, like a lot of people will talk about pairs. Like Connor, you're going to play a lot with Jesse Puljujarvi, and that's going to be a pair, and then you'll trade off kind of the other winger, and it doesn't seem like pairs are really something that Tippett is all that concerned about. And it's kind of the same old thing. Like 2 years ago, he kind of creates this line that's the best line in hockey with Draisaitl, Yamamoto, and
Nuge.
And Nuge, yeah. And then it's working, it's clicking, and then we just blow it up for no reason. Like
yeah, and then refuse to go back to it until it's guaranteed the chemistry's gone, right?
Yeah, it's like we're fixing what isn't broken, and it just it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, whatever you want to try it, give her. You're the coach, but then if it doesn't work, put it back, right?
Yeah, I don't understand blowing it up though, unless there's a problem. Like,
yeah,
you're overthinking it.
For sure.
You're overthinking it. It's it's you've got a tactic that's working. You're blowing out the other team in a game, but all of a sudden you go away from that, and you let the other team back in, and they take the lead, and then they go up by 6. So you decide to go back to what was working before after it's already over. Like,
yeah, it was weird. It was frustrating to watch.
Tonight you're down 2-0, less than 5 minutes in. You don't pull your goalie. You don't take a timeout. You just let it ride. Like you don't have a lot of ways as a head coach in the NHL to kind of inject yourself into a game, and he chooses not to do anything. And I mean, it's not just Tippett. Todd McClellan did the same thing. It was like you're banking these timeouts for a rainy day. Well, I'm sorry, you get one per game. You can't stockpile them, so use it, and like, are you waiting for the final minute in the third period, to use it? Is that the only play you'll ever use? I mean, change the momentum. If you're not gonna put your other goalie in to change the momentum, then use your timeout. And
yeah, I wouldn't have been upset if he called it 3 minutes into the game, right?
No.
Just shake it up.
Yeah.
And like late in this game, why not call it and just ream the guys out? Yell and scream, show some passion, right? Like that's what this team's missing. Have some fire. Let's start hate losing again, right? Like
right.
They're just too good about. Doesn't matter to them anymore.
Yeah, and unless you get like a refuse to lose attitude out there, you're gonna lose. Like you have to hate losing. That's the only way you're gonna win. If you accept losing, well, guess what? You're gonna see a lot of it. Like you can't be accepting of that. And I wrote an article about it. I mean, I was pissed off when I heard the talk of the town, like before when they were in that losing streak. The talk of the town was a hard practice. We battle drills and compete drills, and You know,
Mm-hmm.
Slater Cuckoo body checked Colton Sevier. Sevier went to the bench and broke a stick over his knee like he was Bo Jackson. Well, he was dressed, for the next game, so he wasn't injured. He wasn't hurt. Just mad that you got body checked in practice. I'm sorry, that's bullshit. I mean, it it showed me that these guys are not pushed.
No,
They're not
exactly.
pushed. And if you're waiting to the midpoint of the season, to start working on battle drills and compete drills and pushing guys hard, and Nurse and McDavid led the practice going one on one, and they both ended up on the ice. That's great, but this was in December.
Mm-hmm.
You're 2 months into the season. You should have been doing
That
it. You should have been doing this from the get go. And I'm not saying
probably 5 years ago.
yeah, and I'm not saying
Right?
I'm not saying every single practice in the NHL needs to be compete drills and battle drills and a hard practice. And
Mm-hmm.
no, you have to mix in some tactical practices and that. But you shouldn't be waiting till like 2.5 months into the season to have a hard practice where guys are talking about it. It shouldn't be news. This should be a regular occurrence.
Mm-hmm.
Not every practice, but probably every other practice or every third practice. Like, I don't know, that really pissed me off. Like when the Oilers first hired Dave Tippett, I went to kind of some training camp stuff, and I'd seen how Ken Hitchcock before was kind of handling them, and before that Todd McClellan and kind of some of the coaches before that. And I liked the way Dave Tippett ran a practice. He was on the ice. He was leading every drill. He wasn't leaving everything up to his assistants. He was getting his hands dirty. He's rifling pucks in for them to go and get it and all that kind of stuff. I like that. I was a fan of that. And I thought, okay, I'll give this guy a good opportunity. I like this. I was worried he was going to be too defensive. Well, I don't worry about him being too defensive. I don't know what I don't know what this team's identity is anymore, other than getting scored on early. Like,
Yeah.
they're not a hard team to play against. I wouldn't really call them a high skill team anymore because they don't look dangerous a lot of times, and they're not exciting. And it's, I don't know. It just feels like blah. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you've got the nuclear weapon in McDavid, and I feel like he's not utilized properly. Like, if you get him and Kane and really Puliarvi or somebody else that can keep up, and you play like a high pressure forecheck the crap out of the other team, you should be causing turnovers and lots of havoc for the other team. And it just looks like a lot of times we sit back and maybe one guy will go and put some pressure on, and the other two wingers will sit back, and we're not forcing the issue. We're not causing turnovers, and we're not really generating a lot of dangerous stuff. And I feel like this team should be full of that. And maybe they're afraid to
Mm-hmm.
take risks because they don't trust their back end enough. I don't know, but it doesn't feel like like in Phoenix, Dave Tippett did great with junk. He
Mm-hmm.
he made them really competitive. Now he's got some talent, and it feels like we're not utilizing it properly.
Yeah, and the work ethic, right? Like
Yeah,
those Coyotes teams work hard, right?
right. They
We're
gave
not
you
working hard.
they gave you everything they had, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's the old saying, like um, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, and that feels like this team in a nutshell on a lot of nights. Like, and I don't know, I don't know where it comes from. I know that professional athletes should have a certain approach to the game, but and there should be like a drive, an inner drive from your marquee players to push the envelope. But if practices are blah or just kind of like structured a certain way, and these guys aren't being pushed, then they get accustomed to that, and it's kind of like a muscle memory thing, and that's kind of what you get. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to break out of it, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not being like, It's, Michael Jordan used to say, like I practice harder than games, so then when games come around, it's easy,
Mm-hmm.
like because you're already accustomed to that ethic, that work ethic, and that push. I don't know when you hear like we had a hard practice and it made the press and Rashog and all the boys are talking about it in mid
For a couple
December.
days.
In mid December,
Yeah.
like I should be hearing that in training camp. Like
Mm-hmm.
and that's you set the bar and you keep raising it. Like I don't know.
Yeah, and game 2 or 3 of a losing streak, right? Not game 6.
Yeah,
That should be talked about early, right?
yeah,
Why did they wait 5 games of losing before they decided to work hard? I think you said it too, right? With like change it up in practice, start working hard right off the bat, right?
yeah. Change the intensity levels.
Get them to wake up for the start of the game because
Yeah.
I still think that's a good point.
Well, yeah. I mean, most games are 3 periods and that's it. So structure your practice to be like a game. 20 minutes hard. Let them have a break. 20 minutes hard. Let them have a break, and another 20 minutes hard. And then
Mm-hmm.
every once in a while, probably every third or fourth practice, mix in like an overtime kind of just push the pace and you know 2 and 3 hour practices aren't necessary because you don't play games like that. But um, you know maybe the odd one in case when you get into the playoffs and a game goes into triple or quadruple or whatever overtime, then you're you've done it before, so you can do it. But I don't know. I just uh, I've seen a team that's notoriously starting slow. Stauffer brought up start McDavid because he's ready to go and put the other team on their heels, like and yeah, I agree with the kind of reward and punishment kind of thing. Like if a line really is a force, the game before, then give them the start the next night kind of thing. I get all that, but when you were struggling to get out of the gates and score first and whatever, then you know if you're gonna go to Leon and Connor after you're losing, why not go to them right off the bat, score the first goal, and then distribute your lines
Yeah.
evenly. I hate the coaching that is reactive instead of proactive, and that seems like that's what Dave Tippett is.
Mm-hmm.
He's a reactive coach, and if you're in a reactive mode, then unless your players do their job fully, I mean that's what you're relying on is for them to get on the board first before you start making you know like well you hope that they get on the board first so you don't have to make any adjustments. And
Yeah.
I think teams are too good. You score first, but you wait for them to counter strike and then counter strike again before you make adjustments while you're losing, and then you're chasing it. So if you're always reactive, you're gonna be in for a hard time.
Mm-hmm. Although, well, when the goalie lets in the first shot, however
Yeah,
many
yeah,
games this year, you gotta you're
yeah,
reactive right from 5 minutes in.
yeah,
You have
yeah,
no choice, right?
and that isn't Tippett's fault. I mean,
No.
he's not responsible for what goes on between the pipes fully, other
Yeah.
than who he dressed on the second night of a back to back after the guy didn't have a good outing the night before. but
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
a lot of nights it wouldn't matter who's in there. You're giving up the first one and you're chasing,
Mm-hmm.
so it's that's tough. And I mean, something has to happen there. If you're assembling a group that you want to win a playoff round and get going towards the Stanley Cup, you don't have the goaltending to do it right now, so you need a change.
Yeah.
So and I heard that he was in on Darcy Kemper. There was kind of a deal with Arizona pre expansion draft in place, and then expansion draft happens, and Colorado loses their goalie, so quickly they go to Arizona, up the ante for Kemper, and snag Kemper without Holland even given a chance to kind of raise his offer, and so no bidding war or anything. It just kind of happened. So he lost out on Kemper, but okay, so that happens. Make something happen. I mean, that was last summer, and it's still a problem. So
yeah, it's been a problem for 3 years, right?
yeah. I mean, when Corey Crawford is better than what we had, going back to that Chicago playoff series, that should have told you something there. There's no way we should have lost to the Blackhawks. Goaltending was an issue there. Also, defensive zone coverage. Chicago tipped in a ton of pucks in that series because people don't know how to tie up their men in dangerous areas, and so we lose to Chicago there. You can use the season being shut down and whatever, and Klefbom and Larson not wanting to come back to play and all that, and not being mentally ready, whatever you want to use. But we lost that series last year. I mean, we lose to the Jets, and Mike Smith played fairly well, but Connor Hellebuck was just that much better. I think Winnipeg's depth, helped them get us by, or get them by, not us. And this year, my attitude coming in was, well, okay, I think we've improved our club. Our forwards, adding Hyman and Fogle, I think helped out. And I think, losing Larson hurt the D, but adding Keith and Cece and Caleb Jones kind of going to Chicago, I think we kind of marginally improved our D, but not a lot. And Bouchard and Bear to me is kind of a fairly even trade-off. I thought our D was capable, but our goaltending was status quo, and to me that was the biggest area of concern coming into the season. That's the thing I wanted to see change the most. But here we are, same guys, and we're on the outside looking in, and adding Patrick Kane, I think has helped them, but it's not enough where it solves all the other areas of concern. I mean,
adding to strengths, right?
Yeah, I think Keith here he's probably out 10 days.
It didn't look good at all.
No, if he's back inside of 10 days, I would be shocked. If that is a concussion. At first, when I first saw it, I just thought he knocked the wind out of himself because I didn't see him kind of clang his head into the boards. But I think he bounced his head off the ice, and that's never good. So, been there, done that. I didn't have to go through concussion protocol. I was back playing in 2 days, but I'm
back in the day,
I'm not an NHL player, so I'm pretty sure Duncan Keith is going to be sitting for a couple weeks. Yeah, and that hurts. And I mean, even with him in the lineup and everybody else, I still think that the area of concern on this team is adding, a shutdown, stay at home, mean, nasty, big, physical defenseman that's a little bit better than what Marcus Niemelainen was when he was here. But even him right now, we could use that physicality and a little bit of a mean streak. Guy was like, up there with 7 to 10 hits a game kind of thing. Sorely missing from this group.
And good hits, right? Like,
yeah,
he's a big boy. He threw some big hits.
Yeah, and he wasn't going to the sin bin all the time, and I mean, that's sorely missing from this lineup. Cece's a big guy, but he doesn't play really that physical kind of bruising game. He's built like a Coke machine.
Yeah. I'm very surprised with Cece. He was the one guy I was more concerned about. Like when we signed him at the beginning of the year, I thought I was really worried he would be terrible, but he's been good, really good.
Yeah. I mean, hard to imagine if you would have just looked at Twitter in the off season and formed an opinion off of that. You'd be pretty surprised now to look and see, on a lot of nights, Keith and Cece are kind of our. I wouldn't always say our best pairing, but the ones that are kind of the most stable, and you know what you're going to get for the most part.
Yeah, they're very consistent, right?
Yeah, I still think Keith's biggest problem is a guy like Patrick Kane at the blue line, kind of doing a few juke moves and turning him inside out. But if he can survive that and contain people once he's inside his blue line, he's a pretty good defender. I like what I see from him, kind of behind the net, on the walls, and all that. And then once he gets the puck, he doesn't make a lot of bad plays with it. Usually everything he does is a missile, and it's either on somebody's tape or it's kind of out of our end and not causing any problems. He's like Chris Russell, but his passes are accurate. They're not just high off the glass and out. He does a lot where he'll just hammer it off of somebody's stick at the red line, and it'll go in their end and kind of start some zone time.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that what you were seeing from him in Chicago was Kane and Taves being out a large portion of last year, and them not really having a great team, so he was getting dragged down just because of where he was playing more so than his play. Yeah, he's not the 20-year-old guy anymore, and he can't fly from behind his end to the other end of the ice like Paul Coffey anymore, but he still can pass the puck and he still can play the game, and we're gonna miss him while he's gone. So they're gonna have to kind of address that. Probably Broberg or something get a call up, I think.
Yeah, hopefully someone can make an impression too, right? Like,
yeah,
I think was it Broberg's last chance where he got first? Like, he was top pairing minutes and just was awful.
No, Broberg's call up this year. He held his own. It was Dmitry Samorukov who got called up and sent back after one game, I think. So
he played like a minute or two, and that was it, right?
Yeah, he
was on for 2 goals against, and he got benched the rest of the game.
Yeah, he got walked at the blue line, but that night he wasn't the only person that had a rough outing either. So
no, and he was put on the toughest assignment. Like, he was.
Yeah.
Him and Bush were D1, right? So
yeah,
you're not giving your kids the shot for success when you do that, right?
No, not your first look at an NHL game. And yeah, no, I didn't really like that. To me, it was shades of Ethan Bear in the playoffs again, where he makes that mistake in the third period and ends up sitting for almost 3 full overtimes. You give him a little bit of time there at the end, but yeah, that's not how you teach young players, and I was not a fan of that.
I got a lot more time for the young guys making mistakes and learning from it than guys who should know better making those mistakes, right?
Yeah, and who seems to get the most amount of rope when those mistakes happen? It's the vets. It's kind of ass backwards.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
Frustrating.
I don't like that kind of thinking, or that style of coaching where it isn't, the same set of, you're punishing the rookies and letting the vets off, and it's different treatment for different players. I don't think you can treat every player the exact same way you do, but I mean, if there's a message for a vet, it should be the same message for a rookie and vice versa.
For sure.
If your game breakers are making some mistakes, I think you give a little bit of leeway, but to bench a rookie and not even give a vet a talking to for the same thing, it just you let Tyson Barrie go out there and make all kinds of mistakes, right? That kind of stuff infuriates me.
Me too, yeah. And it's gotta, like, the players know that it can't be easy to play through.
I'll give you something a little bit tougher. If you are GM of the Edmonton Oilers, what do you do tomorrow?
Well, I was really supporting Tippett for a long time, but I think I would get a new coach first thing tomorrow. He gets out coached all the time, right?
So are you on board with the Ryan Rashog school of thought, where that's Glenn Gulletson basically because it's the easiest thing to do, or you look elsewhere, or you look down to Bakersfield, or where are you going?
I think Woodcroft deserves a shot at the NHL. He's done a phenomenal job down there. Um, and I think if you don't give him a shot, he's going to go somewhere, right?
Yeah,
So
I think
for the for the remainder of this year, I don't know if you do that. I actually read a good tweet. I don't know who tweeted it, but they recommended Craig McTavish behind the bench again.
mm,
And I thought that, for the rest of the year, that might work, right? He had a hardworking team most of the time.
yeah, I I think Craig was a pretty good coach. I've got nothing against him. Those guys battled and worked hard. I mean, there was some elite talent with those guys, but there also was some kind of grinder like players like Horkoff and Ethan Morrow and those kind of guys. I mean, they worked hard. Mike Greer and yeah. Um, yeah. I don't know if I would like Mac T. I don't know if he wants to coach anymore. Definitely, he's always been kind of a cerebral hockey guy, but I think if you're gonna give Jay a shot at this at any time, then if you're making a coaching change, that's probably the way I would go, because I do think
Mm-hmm.
I do think you run the risk of losing him. Maybe not this year, but it's not far away. Um, if he gets Bakersfield to win a Calder championship, maybe that's the move, because Tippett isn't under contract next year, so
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's you just promote him right after that. But I don't want to see a lame duck season here. Like we're too far into
No.
the game to have that happen. Um,
Yeah.
got to get some results. Got to get into the playoffs and win around. You know.
I don't think they get in the playoffs with Tippett, and if they do, I would bet money they don't win around.
Yeah, I mean, my attitude to start the season was, you know, okay, so you lost to Winnipeg. Your GM's added a little bit more depth. Didn't change the goaltending, but I think this team's more than capable of making the playoffs, even challenging for a division. But if you can't win a round, you got to go, because you've got a better team and still couldn't get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just like, boy, you started out the season with the best power play that we've pretty much ever seen. You had a great penalty kill, and that is all just kind of went by the wayside. I mean, we had injuries, we had COVID, we had all that, but now that those things are gone, and it's still not revving at the Lamborghini clip that I think it should be. Puck doesn't seem to be moving around all that much. They're having trouble kind of gathering the zone and getting set up and getting it going in the first place. And to me, that signals that other teams have kind of made their adjustments to what we were doing and kind of
Mm-hmm.
caught up to us. And I don't know if it's a hesitancy to kind of change and add some new wrinkles or what, but it's just not working. And that was kind of the key to a lot of our game, and that kind of masked over some of the 5-on-5 kind of shortcomings that we were having, and probably some of the defensive coverage issues.
Yeah.
So now you still see the coverage issues in our own end, like people leaving assignments, and I don't know. To me, that speaks to some coaching issues, and maybe it's a commitment issue from some of the players. Because I mean, you have to be committed to offense, to scoring goals. That takes a commitment, but you also have to be committed to keeping pucks out of your own net. And once you realize that keeping a puck out of your own net is just as valuable as putting one in the other net, then you become a pretty good player. And really that takes the whole team to have that mentality, and then you can become a force to reckon with some of the offensive weapons we have. And I don't know. To me, it all stems from the top. I mean, your coach is the ultimate leader of a team, and then it gets into your leadership core of McDavid and Draisaitl and Nurse, and then sort of the peripheral leaders like Mike Smith and Duncan Keith and whoever else. But I don't know. You watch a game like tonight too, and it just didn't seem like there's a thirst to even really play. Like it just sort of going through the motions, and this team is scrapping and clawing, or they should be, for to get back into the playoffs and kind of climb the ladder. And anemic efforts are hard to stomach.
Yeah, and I get that happens once in a while, right? It's a long season, whatever, but it's happening too much. Yeah. It's happening in losing streaks. It's extending them. It's happening to inferior opponents so often.
Yeah, and too many guys that should be somebody you notice just aren't. I mean, most obvious there is Zach Kassian, but Bryce Workman on YouTube says, I don't know why he switches lines when they worked well before the break. Yeah. You have one off game, and then it's throw the lines into the blender, and there there's an unwillingness to give some vets a night in the press box. I mean, Brendan Perlini and Tyler Benson were playing good hockey, and they're now they're sitting. And the story you keep hearing over and over again is because of special teams. Well, Tyler Benson, if you want him to become a penalty killer, you probably could ask him to kill some penalties. You don't have to put Devon Shore into the lineup just for penalty killing. Evander Kane killed penalties in his career before, so you can let him kill some penalties. So
Hyman and Nuge have been killing penalties and doing a really good job of it, right?
Yeah, and I mean,
so you need two more guys, really.
Well, I don't know about you, but I like Leon Draisaitl taking faceoffs. He's pretty good at that. So have him kill with Evander Kane, and they can do that. Mix in a little Glenn Sather and let Draisaitl and McDavid play together on the penalty kill, so you don't have to do it when it's 5-on-5.
Absolutely.
And I wouldn't give them tons of time because you don't want them getting injured blocking shots and all that. But Gretzky and Curry killed penalties. I mean, so they added something else to it. I mean, why are we so afraid to do a little bit of that? I mean, cut back a little bit of their minute and a half power play time and give them 30 seconds of PK time together.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, offensive players are usually very good at penalty kill, right? Because they know how the power play is going. So they know where to go, where to be.
Yeah.
I think it would work for sure.
Connor might light it up playing left wing versus center too.
Yeah, that worked pretty good, I think.
You have any predictions for Friday night against the Islanders?
Oh, geez. They got to start winning. I think they got to win that one.
Yeah. Does Skinner get the net?
He should, but he won't. That's my prediction. Unless there's a new coach.
Yeah. I wonder. I mean, that's probably the game I would play him in. Well, tonight would have been, but you didn't play him tonight. I would play him against the Islanders because to me, if you drop that, it's not life or death as much as playing a Western Conference team. So I would give him the net for that, and then if he wins that and is really really good, then you gotta
give him some leash, right?
Yeah. You have to get a goalie hot, and once you do, you got to run with that a little bit.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
I don't think in the next game Mike Smith gets hot. He might start to find his game, but I don't think he gets hot yet. I think he's 6, 7, 8 games from maybe getting on a hot streak, maybe. But it's yeah, it's you've sat too long. You know tonight. I mean, to me, he looked injured. His legs did not look right to me. He made
Yeah,
he made saves after the first two, and he played pretty well for a while, but he did not look very comfortable in the net at all.
I mean he's very unorthodox, anyways, right?
Yeah,
He's not the positional controlled smooth goalie. He kind of flails around and
yeah,
reacts, but yeah, when his timing's a little off, he makes easy saves look very difficult.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know. Just anything like with the legs there just did look awkward all night.
Mm-hmm.
Some good saves, glove saves, and stuff like that. But I don't know. He did not look very comfortable in that to me.
No, he looked a little out of step there for sure.
So a couple comments come in from Twitch. Warriors Oil or Warriors Oilers says let Skinner run with the rest of the year to see what you have. Um, I, I'd give him a few games. I don't think I give him the whole year, but you got yeah. I mean, he's been pretty good, pretty solid down in the AHL, and when we first called him up this season, I thought he looked pretty good. Then cooled off a little bit. Maybe kind of the book kind of got around on him a little bit and get picked apart a bit, but if you don't give him, 2-3 games to kind of get into a groove at the NHL level, then I don't think you're really even having a real look of what you got there.
Yeah.
I don't know if that happens though. I think when Koskinen gets out of COVID protocol, then you're back to where we've been the last 2 years with the Smith Koskinen kind of tandem and kind of duking it out to see who can gain the twinkle of Dave Tippett's eye.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is always going to be Smith.
Yeah, he definitely has a head start, but
Yeah.
he gave Koskinen that first game, and then it didn't go well. So Smith got the net after that. I think that was in the Jet series.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it was Chicago, wasn't it?
Maybe that's right. And then
I don't even think Koskinen played against the Jets at all.
and then he rolled with Smith against. Yeah, that's right. The future isn't Smith and Mikko, so why not let Skinner run with it? Yeah. I think it's just such a make or break season for the coach and really everybody here that they'll give Skinner some games here and there, and unless he really lights it up, he's not going to steal the net.
Yeah, no, he's going to have to earn every inch he gets, for sure.
Yeah, no, if he comes out and, faces 50 shots and gets a shutout or lets one in and we win the game, then he'll get another game kind of thing. But it's going to take Herculean efforts from him, I think, right now to steal the net. And it's just
I don't think the Oilers have even had a shutout yet this year, have they?
I don't think so either. No.
I don't think they have.
No.
There's always that one bad goal.
if somebody wants to fact check us on that, please do. But I don't think I remember a shutout all season. No.
I believe Koskinen was like 4 seconds away.
Yeah.
I think that was it.
I guess I can do some research here and go back to the start.
I think that was against Winnipeg. Was it?
Okay, so we can recap the season here.
But I think that's the only thing. That's the only game that's probably even been close to a shutout.
So the great start, I believe, started with us beating the Canucks in a shootout, 3-2 game. Kicked the crap out of the Flames 5-2. Beat the Ducks 6-5.
6-5.
Beat the Coyotes 5-1. Beat the Golden Knights 5-3. The Flyers beat us. That was the first loss of the season 5-3.
I lost a case of beer on that.
beat the
My team was like 9-1, and I lost a case of beer.
beat the Canucks again 2-1. Beat the Kraken 5-2. Beat the Preds 5-2. Won in overtime against the Rangers 6-5. Red Wings beat us 4-2. We beat the Bruins 5-3. Sabres beat us 3-2. Beat the Blues 5-4. Jets beat us 5-2. We beat the Jets 2-1.
That's the shutout game. That was the one he almost got shut out in.
I
think he scored with 2 or 3 seconds left in the game, something like that.
Beat the Blackhawks 5-2. Stars beat us 4-1. Beat the Coyotes 5-3. Beat the Knights 3-2. Beat the Penguins 5-2. And here's where the misery starts. Kraken beat us 4-3. Kings beat us 5-1. Lost to the Wild 4-1. Bruins beat us 3-2. Hurricanes beat us 3-1. Leafs beat us 5-1. We turn around, beat the Jackets 5-2, and the Kraken 5-3. And we're supposed to play a bunch.
Those were Goliathson's games, right?
Yes.
Goliathson coached those games, I think.
And then 4 games got postponed due to Omicron. And then Blues beat us 4-2. Devils beat us 6-5. Islanders beat us 3-2. Rangers beat us 4-1. Leafs beat us 4-2. Islanders, Senators, Wild, Knights games all postponed. And then Sens beat us 6-4. Jets, Hawks games postponed. Panthers beat us 6-0.
Oh, man. That team is ridiculous.
Turn around, beat the Flames 5-3, so we can still beat Calgary. Beat the Canucks 3-2. Beat the Preds 3-2. Rock the Canadiens 7-2.
Mm-hmm.
Turn around, lose to Ottawa 3-2. Beat the Capitals 5-3. Get annihilated by the Knights 15-0, but it was only 4-0. And Hawks beat us tonight 4-1, and
it could have been 7-3.
That is a big shutout on a shutout this season.
Yeah, nothing, eh?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that Jets game we had 2-0 lead to like 4 seconds left in the game or somewhere in there, like in the last minute. They got scored on.
Yeah. Bryce Workman on YouTube there, thanks for watching, says Panthers just have a lot of depth. Yeah, I mean, they should be in contention for Eastern Conference Final, I would think, between, the Bolts and the Panthers and the Hurricanes. There's some good teams in the East, and, Sid the Kid and Gino there in Pittsburgh have turned up their game also, so... you
can never count those guys out, eh?
Yeah, things could be interesting there. Bruins might have, done some damage to their playoff aspirations with Marchand taking a 6-game suspension, and then Patrice Bergeron, I think, hurt himself today too as well. So.
Yeah, I saw a highlight of that. It looked like he got tangled up pretty good.
Yeah. What do you think happens down the stretch here? Do they make the playoffs, or are they going to miss?
Oh, I think they're going to make it. I say I don't think they can with Tippett, but I think they can. I think they're going to. They have to. I just hope that somewhere along the line someone starts to explain to them they need to have some urgency.
Ryan Jackson says on YouTube there, he says the call on Dry was a rude game changer. Yeah, that's definitely not a penalty. Kind of gifted the Hawks a power play with that. Yeah, that was.
Oh, that was that finishing his check. Yeah. I think that was
Yeah.
an unfortunate one.
No, he just moved the puck and dry finished his check, and they called him for interference. Probably just because they didn't like the way that the Hawk guy kind of went into the boards. I'm all for kind of player safety, but that was a clean body check, just a bad result for the guy from Chicago, and I believe he's the one that deposited that puck neatly into the net on the power play. So,
yeah, that heals an injury quick.
Yeah,
going to power play goal.
Yeah, he won't even feel it until Friday.
Yeah,
there will be no pain tomorrow because he scored.
Yeah,
and they won the game. Warriors Oilers says make the playoffs with a kind of a laughing emoji. You know, their playoffs right now I think are in the next 10 days. If they don't get out the shovel and start digging their way out of this, it's going to be too deep for them to recover. And after the start they have, I mean that definitely should be a fireable offense. You can't let a start like they had just drift off into the night. It was too good. Ryan Jackson says Nuge's penalty that led to a goal was a brain fart. Yeah,
I remember that one.
Yeah, I have to check that out. I can't even remember what his penalty was.
I can't remember what he did there either.
Two minutes for tripping. $1.15 in.
Was that the first penalty?
Yeah, DeBrincat scored. Yeah. I think I omitted that from the brain.
Yeah, I think I did too.
So now they want to talk basketball. Mike, I know you're a basketball fan. The Lakers are losing to the very short-handed Blazers team. Unreal, yeah. Usually talk hockey here, but there's some serious problems with the Los Angeles Lakers club. I guess that's eerily familiar with our team. I mean, they've got LeBron James and Anthony Davis, so sort of like your McDavid and Draisaitl, and they're having a hard time winning games. Their offense really isn't that dangerous, and that's kind of familiar with what we've got going on here. Two really gifted offensive players, and they have a lot of trouble. They're too stagnant, and I think so are we.
Yeah, I think very much so.
Ryan Jackson says we need to be more disciplined, no penalties in the ozone. Yeah, I'm never really a fan of taking penalties at the other end of the rink. I don't mind penalties in front of your net or on breakaways or, trying to tie somebody up that's got an advantage on you for a scoring chance. But offensive zone penalties, not a fan of those either. Yeah,
a big body check or something, penalty like that is okay, right? The hooking and slashing and that stuff in your own end or in the other end is not a good idea. But
yeah, I just don't like lazy penalties.
Yeah, lazy penalties.
Yeah. Well,
they could use a few big hit penalties.
Yeah.
Start throwing the body a little more.
So, I think we can close out pretty soon. Do you think Tippett gets a good night's sleep tonight? Rate his stress level on a rolling 1 out of 10 scale. That's from the Pretenders Hockey Podcast.
Oh man, yeah, I don't know. If I was him, I'd be shitting bricks. But
Yeah, I mean, really, I guess he survived a brutal stretch of games there, and was given um, lots of rope. But man, if your stress level as a head coach after kind of the last two performances isn't at max level, yeah, I don't think you're cut out for the job. Uh,
no, yeah,
you should be stressed, and you should be not be able to sleep, and um, spending hours tonight thinking of ways to get your team a win on Friday because you desperately need it.
hmm
Uh, um, if everything's easy breezy, beautiful cover girl, then you're not cut out for this.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't know if his stress level is high. I feel like if you can lose, what was it, 13 out of 15 games
Yeah,
and keep your job, you're
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I
out
mean,
worse luck.
to me, that might be a little bit of an admission of guilt on Holland's behalf for not getting the guy a goalie.
hmm
But still, I mean, at some point, Montreal Canadiens, Ryan Jackson asking again if Tip loses the next one. I think we need to let him go. The Habs fired their guy today. Yeah, I mean, Montreal hasn't had their goalie all season, so they made the coaching change.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's not. I mean, their goalie is a superstar for sure, right? And Shea Weber maybe is their best player. Without those two guys, there's not much of a team there. But
no,
I mean,
and Jeff Petry's in like a real struggle this season. So
yeah, but we still got McDavid and Draisaitl. We should be winning games, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you could extend a little bit of rope with people in sick bay and injuries and all that, but for the most part, right now we're relatively healthy, so you can't build excuses anymore. And even when guys are hurt or they're out or they're sick or whatever, you still have to find a way to win games. Other teams do it, so
Mm-hmm.
that's what needs to happen. Marc Andre Fleury had a great game, though. Not gonna lie. Yeah, I
He
mean
did look good, yeah.
that's kind of what you expect from Marc Andre Fleury. I mean he's still a pretty good goalie. Um, would love to have him. I mean there's no doubt, but the story that I hear is that his kids are in school there, and he doesn't want to pull them to go to a Canadian market or whatever, and um, so I don't think that's happening. I think if something major happens on the goalie front, it's because Colorado scoops up Marc Andre Fleury, and all of a sudden Darcy Kemper becomes expendable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you could move on that, but then you have to find another team that Mikko Koskinen will go to, um, waive his no trade clause or whatever to there's certain teams he'll go to and certain ones that he won't. So you need to have a willing participant on the other end of that, and three-way deals kind of thing only seem to happen in the NBA. Not a lot of NHL GMs are creative enough to make that happen, but
I don't think ours is, that's for sure.
yeah. 2 7-game losing streaks and starting a third losing streak now. No more excuses. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the end game is here now. I thought he would have lost his job during that epic skid before, and that didn't happen. So I don't know if that's an admission of guilt to Holland or a ridiculously patient human being. But it looked like Tippett was finding a way out of the doldrums there. They go on a run, and then the All-Star break happens, and now they're going on a slide again.
Mm-hmm.
And the roller coaster Oilers season continues, and you just sort of wonder if how long does this streak go? Do they snap out of it on Friday? If not, then when? And you know, it's it's tough because you want to watch a hockey game and even when teams in the past were losing, there was still excitement being generated. I mean, I watched Ryan Smith and Alish Hemsky get us through some really lean years because when Hemmer had the puck on his stick, something exciting was going to happen, and Smitty with that gritty, determined effort, every night was inspiring, and tonight, I mean, I don't know, and last night especially, there wasn't a lot really that was, exciting that was happening out there. It makes it tough to watch, and this should be one of the most entertaining teams in the league to watch with the talent that can be put out there.
And when they work hard, win or lose, they are entertaining, right? But it's a lack of work ethic that just kind of they float around. It's not fun to watch.
These people don't want to let us go yet. We'll take a couple more little chats here. Ryan Jackson says, if you could pick a new starting goalie, who would you like? Realistically, maybe Fleury or Holtby. Any other dark horse? So I guess if the sky's the limit, who would you take?
I think it'd be pretty cool to take Demko, but I don't think he's going anywhere.
Yeah. There's a pretty good goalie there.
There's a really good goalie there. Yeah. I don't know. I like Gibson. I think Gibson's a phenomenal goalie, but there's no way Anaheim's letting him go right now, right? Like they're miles ahead of us right now.
Yeah, if I'm them, I wouldn't. And I like John Gibson. I think that's a good choice. There's more miles in front of him. Whereas Marc-Andre Fleury, I think you could probably get a couple more good years out of him, but then you're into the same thing that we're into this year with Smith.
It would be nice to have a Fleury mentoring Skinner or something, though, right?
Yeah,
for a year or two.
Braden Holtby, that doesn't interest me anymore. That would have probably about 3 years ago, but
yeah.
Yeah, and you're not pulling Vasilevsky out of Tampa Bay, so
no. He'd be the clear guy to get, though, right? If everyone was available.
Yeah, I honestly wish Skinner would be the guy, a homegrown product. I mean, Dash has brought up a gazillion times that I think in the last gazillion years, the only goalie to win a Stanley Cup that wasn't homegrown was when Patrick Waugh did it in Colorado. Forever it's been a goalie that's been in-house. So yeah, that's kind of what I would like to see. Skinner developed into an everyday kind of starting goalie and an all-star capable goaltender. That's what I would love to see. Is he that guy? I'm not sure yet. I liked what I saw at first, but then he kind of regressed a little bit, and that happens. Can he bounce back? Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's still young. I've got issues though with like Dustin Schwartz. I think we've had some pretty big goalies in the last few years, and there is a refusal to get these guys to play any kind of hybrid style. It's all just butterfly down early and stay down, and the first shot killer goals aren't only a thing that is in Mikko Koskinen's game. I mean, Smith was first 2 shots tonight. Brian Swain put out a stat of where goals went in on him, and there's been a few third shot goals and that kind of stuff, and first shot goals were a problem with Cam Talbot. Cam goes to Calgary and then goes to Minnesota, and all of a sudden he's an all-star capable goalie again. To me it signals that our goalie coach is not good enough. My uncle will say you can't turn a Pinto into a Lamborghini, and that's kind of the story that he uses for Dustin Schwartz. But I mean, there's been goalies that have come through here that have came and went, and resurrected their career elsewhere.
Yeah, I think Dubnyk might have been before Schwartz. I can't remember for sure, but he was another one, right? Like he became a perennial all-star after he left.
Yeah, so I think Dubnyk was the first goalie under Schwartz's tutelage, and that's kind of where it kind of started. So there's Doobie, there's Cam. If you want to use Brissois.
Yeah, Brissois is playing good now, right?
Yeah, and I just see like right now, like Mike Smith, he's 6'4". Mikko Koskinen 6'7". I think Talbot was 6'3" or 6'4". So we've had some big goalies, and there's a refusal to get these guys to play a hybrid style. It's all just crammed down in the butterfly, and a lot of these bad angle goals are going in. Goalies aren't standing up, hugging the post. They're down. They're down on all fours, and they leave kind of short side open, and it's a bad angle goal, and it should be easy to defend. We take a goalie that's really 6'9" on skates, and we try to make him into an athletic goalie where you're relying on athleticism and reflexes because he's playing right on the goal line on shooters instead of coming out and challenging and taking away angles and being basically a moving sheet of plywood.
Yeah,
I don't get it. It bugs me. Like I see Mikko and there's a guy coming in, and it's just him and the shooter. I'd love to see him a foot and a half outside his crease, taking away the net and slowly backing in as the guy's coming, playing that style. But it's not happening, and it doesn't. I don't think you're going to teach Mike Smith anything new. But some of these younger guys like Skinner, he's impressionable, and we're just going to bury him into this style that takes away from these guys' natural gifts of being big goalies.
Huge.
Yeah.
Well, remember in 16-17 when the Oilers went to the second round, Talbot was struggling mightily. They went to New York. He ended up having a good conversation with his goalie coach, right? And he turned everything around. That's a very damning statement from your goalie, right? Well, I went and talked to my old goalie coach. Now I'm lights out.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that you'll hear from if you talk to people about this is that all these guys have their own goalie coaches, that they see in the off season, and the team's goalie coaches, they can say whatever they want, they don't get listened to. Then what the hell do you have them there for? Like, I don't know. I don't know what's bullshit, what's real, and
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a consistent problem, right? The goal, like it's obvious, the goalie's in Edmonton back in on the line too much, play small.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a guy that we have on the show from time to time. He's on Twitter as Bob the Goalie, and he played in IHL, so he played a pretty high level, and he brought up, I think today or maybe it was yesterday even, part of his job as a goalie coach was to scout the other team's goalie, find their weaknesses, and tell the players that. And he's wondering if that's still like part of Dustin Schwartz's assignment is to highlight weaknesses of other goalies and that. And yeah, I don't know what the answer to that is. I'd love to know. I'd love to be a fly on the wall and inside kind of the room prior to games and what they go over and game tape and tendencies and stuff that they study. But it's an interesting question. I've seen so much change. We've seen the coaches, we've seen different GMs, but Dustin Schwartz is like a cockroach.
Untouchable.
He's like a cockroach at a Chernobyl accident. Like he can survive any nuclear disaster.
Meltdown.
Yeah. Boy, today is the first time in forever that I've got the comments actually working on my computer for the stream, and you guys are lighting it up tonight. We should focus on drafting a goalie and a D-man next year. Yeah, well, Holland has taken a lot of goalies, and I think there's just kind of wishful thinking that eventually one of them is going to work out. Like Olivia Rodrigue, Skinner. We've been Konovalov. I mean, we haven't been bashful to take some goalies lately. Haven't made that a first round pick yet, but yeah, I mean, I think that's an area that needs to be addressed. I mean, if you look, Dash put out a thing on prospects, but if you look around, some of the Oilers prospects, top prospects like Carter Savoy, Xavier Bourgault, Holloway's coming up. There's some definitely promising players in the system for forwards that are, not too far away. So yeah, drafting a goalie and D-man, yeah. Drafting a D-man, in this coming draft, you're probably 2-3 years before they're going to come into the lineup, and probably 4 years before they're really impactful. So, that is, I mean, it's something you definitely need to do. You always have to keep the bar kind of stocked, but putting a kind of a full court press on trying to improve your goaltending from within, I think is definitely something that needs to be looked at. I don't know. I haven't really paid attention too much to what's going on in Major Junior, who the stud goalie is, but taking a goalie with a first round pick to try to solidify that is something I'm not against.
Yeah, I'd like to see him turn the first round pick into an actual goalie right now, right? Like, trade it away for. It doesn't have to be a superstar goalie, but has to be a legit starter. I'd like to see that.
Bryce Workman says, imagine getting Bedard, though. I don't want to imagine that because what is he draft eligible like in 2 years from now?
Oh my God, yeah.
I don't want to be bad for that long.
No, McDavid will be gone if we're bad for that long.
Yeah, I mean, he put out once again something on, I think it was in the media, maybe it was at the All-Star break or whatever, saying like he wants to be part of the solution here again. So that was just the other day. I think he's probably frustrated for sure, but
Absolutely.
I don't think the guy's a quitter. I don't think you get to be the type of athlete he is with being a quitter and kind of taking your ball and going home. And we saw what Alex Ovechkin, 14 years in Washington before he got it done there. So I think Connor's kind of cut from the same cloth as that kind of guy. I really do, and maybe even more so. He might even be more determined than that.
Yeah, he's very determined. I think he's frustrated. I think you're right. I mean, who wouldn't be, right?
Yeah.
I'm a plug of a player, and I hate losing. So, I mean, those guys are used to winning too, right? So.
Yeah. You have to hate losing, and that's and that can wear on you. But this summer Nugent signs, and he's been through a lot of losing, and
he has. Yeah.
If anybody had a reason to go and explore the market and see what's out there, it was him, and he chose to stay. So I think that's kind of encouraging. I think Connor is going to say something to the GM like we need to do something. Yeah, I mean, there might be a little bit of leash there. I think Connor would probably know the story that I was kind of told about Holland kind of having a handshake or kind of an agreement with the Coyotes in principle for Kemper. I'm sure Connor knew that before I did, so might give him a bit of rope. But at the end of the day, I mean, this team needs a goaltender, and at some point, excuses, they don't serve a purpose anymore. You need that goalie, so stop talking
Yeah,
about it and get it.
it's been the same 3 guys for 3 years, right? Or same 2 guys for
Yeah.
3 years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, one of those aren't Holland's fault, but yeah. Ryan Jackson's asking our thoughts on Evander Kane so far. Tonight, it started to look like he was getting back to the player I think he can be. Started to try to beat guys wide and then cut to the net. And I think a couple games from now, that kind of speed that it takes to be able to do that will be there. But the will to want to do it, I thought was there tonight. Just a little bit of, I think, puck, falling off the stick a little bit, wasn't really there, but I think he'll a few more games from now he'll get that skating stride where he can just blow by the guy and cut to the net and have a good opportunity. I haven't minded him. I've thought he's been fine. I've liked kind of the physical edge that he's kind of brought. I like the nastiness. I don't see.
I didn't think that penalty he took was that bad today, right? Like,
no,
bit of a hit from behind, but it wasn't bad.
I think
And it's one you live with. It was a physical play, right?
He didn't hit the guy in the head. Like they brushed hips more than anything. Yeah, 2 minutes I'm okay with. Like, definitely didn't deserve 5 or anything like that.
Yeah.
At first glance, it did look egregious, but then after seeing it again, it wasn't much of anything really.
Yeah.
I've liked him as a player. I don't think there's a lot of extracurricular going on yet. I think he's trying to kind of keep his nose clean for the most part. And I thought at the end of the game, a little bit of that with Caleb Jones. Caleb whacked him first, and he was just standing up for himself, and it kind of went back and forth. I don't mind that. This team needs a little bit of shit disturbed, and hockey on the ice, I haven't minded him. I know the first game, he got a goal just for going to the right spot, but he looked like a guy that hadn't played much, didn't really have his legs underneath him, but he played the game the right way. And then it's just kind of gotten better. He goes to the net hard, has good hands. I think learned probably a lot about tipping pucks from Joe Pavelski in San Jose. Because he's pretty good at it, and I think he'll be just fine. At the end of the season, look at what he did and see where you're at with him, see how it went. I wouldn't give him any more than a 2-year deal, and I think even that might be a risk. But I don't re-sign this guy for 4 or 5 years. I don't think you can do that. I think that's where it gets into problems. I think you've got to keep him on short-term deals. Maybe you have to pay him a little bit more or whatever, or maybe you don't. Maybe everybody else is afraid of the other stuff that he brings. But I think it is a little bit like when Dennis Rodman went to Chicago, and I think it worked for Dennis because he respected Michael and Scotty and kind of those veteran guys that were in a different level above him. And I think he's kind of the same way here. I mean, things fell apart for him in San Jose when Thornton and Marlowe and Pavelski kind of left. So all of a sudden he's probably easily the biggest ego in the room. And now he's got Connor, he's got Leon and Darnell, and I think there's enough there to keep his ego in check, and I think in the short term this is going to be fine. I don't have reservations there. It's just going long term. I think is risky with the guy. I wouldn't do it. Like I say, a year or 2 at the max.
Yeah. Yeah, I think morally, I don't think he deserves to be in the league, but he's on our team now, and he's looked pretty good. So
yeah, and the league doesn't seem to want to be a moral compass. I mean, look what's went down in Chicago. And even in the aftermath of the Kyle Beach thing, they settle that, and then this guy wants to park everything from
Yeah,
from days gone by, and
in a
then
town hall.
and then I think and then and just kind of berate the reporters and all that, and then what is it the next day after this more stuff's coming out of there from other incidents. It just
Yes.
it's just they can't get out of their own way. Come clean, bring it all out, address it all. Be eloquent, be apologetic, be humble, um, you know, and rebuild your franchise. But no, we're just gonna stomp our feet and be hesitant and bury more and man,
Yeah.
I don't know. You get a hot dog, a hockey ticket, and all the beer you can drink, probably for a toonie in Chicago if they don't pull their heads out of their ass soon.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a good look, that's for sure.
The league has turned into a social justice platform. We don't need to go there tonight. I don't think so. I don't think I don't think the league has really changed much in 100 years. I've got two beefs with the NHL. One is that every hockey league in the world takes hitting from behind seriously, and the NHL doesn't. More concussions are caused from hits from behind than fights. It's documented. I mean, the evidence is clear. The brain jarring you get from getting kind of rocked from behind and whether you hit the boards or not causes more concussions than anything. And every other league you hit from behind, it's 5 in a game. It's basically automatic. NHL doesn't seem to really take that seriously. Brad Marchand gets 6 games for kind of a punch and a glancing blow of a stick to the head of Tristan Jarry. I didn't think that was really that serious. I'm okay with the suspension, but you give 6 games for that, and then some of the other shit that goes on the ice. Some of these dangerous hits that a guy's out months because they're hospitalized because they got rocked from behind. Get a game or two like it. That kind of, or not even anything, and that kind of stuff is my biggest beef really with NHL, period. But the other thing that needs to happen is there needs to be a moderning of the league. Like Gary Bettman is a lawyer and he talks in legal speak and there isn't kind of a compassionate guy there. He talks like he's a defense lawyer rather than, somebody that's looking out for the best interest of really, the players or the fans or a victim like Kyle Beach. It just that part of the NHL, also bothers me. It's time for the league to change a little bit of the way they conduct themselves. You would think in times of the pandemic and buildings that are partially full or no attendance or whatever, that they would be dotting every I and lowercase j and looking out for things, but it's kind of same old. So
Yeah.
I don't hate Gary Bettman. I think he did a lot to help keep the Oilers in Edmonton when things were pretty grim there. So I don't hate the guy, but I don't love the guy either. Yeah. So I'm gonna hope on Friday night the Edmonton Oilers can come out and put forth a better effort. I hope Stuart Skinner's in between the pipes and we get a win. Thanks, Ty, for joining. You're welcome anytime. You're free. We can definitely have you again. Thanks for sitting in for Dash.
Yeah, man. It's fun.
I'll if you have any last word, go ahead, and then I'll kind of sign off and we can shut her down.
All I want to say is the losing streak's over. We're going on a run.
There we go. Back the other way. The roller coaster is going to ride.
That's right.
So just kind of checking things here. I told you we were going to only do this for about a half an hour or 45 minutes. And we've been recording now for an hour and 46 minutes. So I owe
Nice.
you wobbly pop whenever I run into you. That's going to have to happen. So
Sounds good.
thanks for everybody for commenting. You guys were blowing up the chats. Lots of viewers on YouTube, on live, and somebody watching on Twitch, which I've never seen before because a lot of times my whole thing hasn't been working. And I've never had a Twitch viewer on my own streams. Now that like me and Oilers Live kind of streams sort of out of the same sort of setup. Now I guess I get to see viewers on Twitch, which is kind of cool. I thought Twitch was only for gamers, and apparently it's for us little podcasters too.
For the big time now.
Yeah. So, like we always say, you can check us out on the Heavy Hockey Network on YouTube. Get streamed to there. Also on Twitch through Heavy Hockey, Facebook on the Heavy Hockey Network, on my Twitter at Mike Dursa, at Heavy Hockey on Twitter, at Oilers Live on Twitter. If you're bored and want to read some hockey articles, if you log on to heavyhockey.com, Dash has got a new article up on there about prospects. Eric Friesen's got another one up. I wrote one on Evander Kane just when we signed him. Oilers Live is, I think, put stuff out there. Tough Call podcast. Josh kind of sometimes breaks down kind of dangerous plays or things that are probably going to lead to a suspension by player safety. Ryan Lotzberg puts articles up on Heavy Hockey, and so does Spencer. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I can't even talk anymore. I need more of my water. Keep your sticks on the ice. Keep reaching for the stars, and go Oilers, go. Good night.